Aloha and welcome to Airguns 808. So I've been using this hand pump for all of my PCPs and it was great. It works good. But I kind of made like a little bit of a mistake. I bought the Umerix Gauntlet, which has a pretty substantial tank, and it's a really big effort to get that filled up. So now that I have other PCPs, I've decided to, now that I have more than one PCP, I should say, I have 5 total now. I decided to upgrade to an air compressor, and that's what this next video is going to be about. The hand pump is completely fine if you're just starting out, but I wouldn't recommend getting the Umerix Gauntlet and then getting this hand pump. That was my mistake. This is the Orcair portable PCP compressor. I decided to get this one from Amazon because it was on a sale. I paid about $350, I believe, for it, plus shipping. It said originally free shipping, but when I went to checkout, the shipping wasn't free. So this is it out of the package here. This is actually a really decent air compressor. I had a lot of good reviews on it, and I decided to take the plunge on this one now. There are cheaper alternatives, which I'll get into in a minute. But for now, this is everything that came in the box. So instruction manual, you have your packet of spare parts here. This is the packet of spare parts. And then you have your air hose, which comes standard with the water oil filter on it. Right here. And this is your DC plug, so you can hook this up to a car battery, 12-volt car battery. And this is your AC plug. It can hook up to 110 volt, just the regular standard outlet. This is the gauge on the top. That little red thing I just took off is just a protector to cover it, and this is supposed to have an auto shut off. That's what that little dial is for. This one here is where you would connect the hose and then connect it to your PCP. And then down here, this is just the bleed valve. So when you're pumping your gun up, this is going to be tight, and when you're ready to release, you just twist it and it turns off. Very nice clicky buttons on there. That's the fan, that's the compressor button. And right here, this is the fan that's on the side. It's actually a really loud fan, and you guys will hear it in a minute or so when I get into it. And this is just on the side of the unit. And on this side, it has the AC plug, and it also has the DC plug. So with the shipping cost, I paid about $380. There are cheaper alternatives, as I show here. I didn't go with any of these models because they do have a separate power supply and the contacts are exposed. I do have children here, and I didn't want any accidents of them getting electrocuted, so I didn't go with any of these. But these can run you anywhere from $180 to $250, so about $100 cheaper. They're also a little smaller, minus the separate power supply. You can also buy one of these air tanks and have them filled at dive shops. I did not go this route because the tanks are really expensive to ship to Hawaii for some reason, and a lot of places won't ship them, even though there's no air in them when you do order them, but whatever. So I decided not to go this route. And right here is another air compressor. If you want to, you can get into these. I don't recommend them. They are pretty faulty. I see a lot of people having issues with these exact pumps. Breaking down, parts wearing out, parts not working, and hard to get parts in for them. They are a cheaper alternative, though, if you decide to go this route, but I do not recommend them. Alright, so here's my little setup right now. It's kind of not late at night, but it's nighttime right now. I just finished work. So I'm going to pump up this gun right here. So this is the Beeman Chief 2. One of my newer PCPs. This is the first time I'm filling this gun up. You can see the gauge is at 0 there. And we're going to use my new pump to see how well it works. It's the first time I'm using it. I haven't used it yet, to see how well it works. Alright, so let's get it set up. I'm going to get this camera set up on the tripod, and we're going to see how long it takes. From what I understand, you can take these off. These are just like little protector caps. Take that one off and take this one off. But you can set it to where you want it. So this one, I think the max PSI is 3,000. So I'm going to set this gauge to 3,000. And this is supposed to be an auto shut off. So we'll set it right about there to 3000. Okay, we'll make sure this is closed. That's the first time I'm firing this thing up. So this is the bleed valve. We're just gonna make sure it's closed, secure. Okay, and then we're gonna connect our hose right here. I'll get that on there better. Sorry, doing this one-handed. Actually, let me get the camera on the tripod and then we'll continue. Okay, so now we're gonna fill it up. Normally you would put this end on the rifle and this end on the machine, but on the Beam and Chief I just found out that this part doesn't really fit on here because of the suppressor that's on the front of this. So we're gonna flip it around. We're gonna put this on the machine and we're gonna put this on the gun. Okay, so let's put this on. Okay, and then we'll put this side on. Should just click in. Yep, there we go, nice and tight. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is turn the fan on. Okay, there it goes. You can hear it start up. A really loud fan. Now we're gonna start the compressor. Okay, so at this point, the gun is filling up right now, and it is pretty loud, and it's gonna take about 4 minutes or so to completely fill. So if you guys wanna fast forward past this, feel free to. There's not really much talking going on. I'm just showing the different levels. At the end of me doing this fill, I have a list of all the different times where the PSIs were hit, like the 1000, 1500, and 2000 and 3000 at how long it took to fill that. And do keep in mind too that the Beam and Chief does have a small tank reservoir, air tank reservoir, so it is a lot quicker. Larger guns like the Gauntlet would probably take a lot longer, and maybe I'll add a video of that later. But for now, we're just going to use this. Temperature is maintaining a cool 88 degrees. So far, so good. We are about at 1,500 PSI. Temperature of the compressor is about 92 degrees right now. I believe that's in Fahrenheit. Just about to hit the 2000 mark, 2000 PSI. Temperature is at 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Just passing 2000. We're going to test the auto shut off on this too. It's set to automatically shut off. Checking the gun. Yep, just passing 2000 on the gun as well. So the gauge is here and on the gun, which is on this side of the camera. I don't want to move the gun right now, but it's about the same. The pressure gauge on here looks a little higher than the gun, but it's only like 1 or 2 notches. We are almost to 3,000. That took about 5 minutes to pump up. We're at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Temperature is at 99 degrees. It's just about to hit the 3,000 and then the pump should shut off. There it goes. Okay, that looks like it made it all the way. Pump has shut off. Fan is still running. We're just going to let the fan run for a little bit, cool down the system. Okay, so that was less than 5 minutes. This gun got up to 300 bar. This isn't a very big tank, or sorry, 3,000 PSI. That's not a very big tank on here, so it didn't take much. But I mean, still 5 minutes of using the compressor versus, you know, doing it by hand, which would take a lot longer. So before you unplug any of this stuff, you have to release the pressure. So we're gonna, right here, the valve underneath this thing, we're just gonna release that real quick. Let that bleed out. Okay. So the pressure gauge should read 0 on the device, which it does. And now we can go ahead and disconnect this. Okay, so that's 1. Disconnect it from the gun, that's 2. And there you go. Easy peasy way to fill your gun with this compressor. All right, so let's check the gun. Here, I'll put it on camera. So it was at 0 when we first started. But you can see right now, come on, focus, right there. It's at 3,000. Perfect. Nice and filled. First time I ever filled up this gun and first time I ever used this pump. Haven't used this gun yet. All right. Okay, so I realized after I shot that video, I unhooked it wrong. So I just want to go over real quick how to properly disconnect the gun from the compressor. It was just one simple step that I missed. I kept getting an error code flashing. It was E4. I couldn't figure out what the E4 was, and I looked in the manual, and lo and behold, it told me exactly what it was. Okay, so before you disconnect the gun or do the bleed valve, you do need to turn off the compressor. Although it is not running, it is still on. So you need to hit the compressor button before you do the bleed valve. And then you need to hit the fan button to turn off the fan. And after you completed all of that, then you can go ahead and do the bleed valve after that. That is a step I didn't do. I didn't shut the compressor off, and that's why I was getting that error. Okay, so here's a list of the times it would take to fill to 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and 3,000. I was super impressed that it only took 3 minutes and 48 seconds for the gun to reach 3,000 PSI from 0. Now remember, the Beam & Chief tank is a smaller tank, a smaller PCP tank. It's actually a budget PCP, and I'm planning on doing a review on that later. I still want to try and fill the gauntlet with it to see how long it's going to take to do that. I'll probably degas the gauntlet and start from 0. Maybe I'll make a video about that. We'll see. I don't know. But all in all, the Orcair PCP air compressor is actually really good. And I do like the fact that it's portable. You can hook it up to your car battery if you're not anywhere near an outlet, which is very convenient for me. I'm also considering purchasing a tank, or maybe going to a dive shop and seeing if they have any old air tanks that they're getting rid of. And I would like to try to fill that up because I see you can. I know you can't do the huge tanks. It's not going to be able to handle doing the huge tanks, but you can do the medium-sized tanks, and I'm thinking about doing that. But we'll see. We'll see how it is. And I know, like, in the beginning of this channel, it was all about budget, and you can actually afford to buy this. This is a budget purchase if you want to. If you want to get into air guns as deep as I am now with 5 PCPs and a ton of brake barrels and other pump action air guns. If you're thinking about doing that, what I ended up doing to afford this is that I would put a little money aside every paycheck. On my PayPal account, I have these things called goals. You can set a goal and just put money into it. So every paycheck I would put aside like $25 or $50, depending how much I got paid. And then eventually I was able to afford this purchase. So if you really want to get this compressor and you don't have the funds, that's one way you can do it. You can just set aside some money every paycheck and, you know, purchase it that way. I do like the fact that this air compressor was under $300. I was really actually saving up to get the Umarex air compressor because I hear really good things about it, but I decided to go with this one. I'm really happy with it too. You know, I like the fact that it's portable. Hook it up to my car or whatever, or just plug it into a wall. I don't like the fact that the cheaper alternatives had exposed contacts on their power supply. I don't know why they do that, but whatever, to each their own. I don't know why they have it built that way. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I do recommend picking one of these up if you are going to get into PCPs. If you like brake barrels, then you don't need this. So anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Aloha.